love is not insisting that what you want with another person work. It's about insisting that the two of you are allowed to be authentic in who you are and what you want and the journey that you're going on, even if it's not compatible with each other. Hi, welcome back to Friend Crush. Welcome to Friend Crush. I'm your host, Amber Akilla. This is my podcast where I talk about stuff and things, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. We're hot, we're having fun, and yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. You can follow me on Instagram at Amber Akilla, on TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud. The Instagram for this podcast is at friend.crush. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube. Send me your thoughts and feelings. I always appreciate feedback so much. Yeah, it means so much to me because, when people take the time to appreciate the time that I take, it just feels I love it. Brings me so much joy. So today's question is about long distance relationships. I'm going to answer a question or share my thoughts on different questions I receive until we take a break over the summer, I think. I don't know. I'm just going to decide as we go. But yeah, so I got asked, not sure if you've shared your thoughts before on long distance relationships. I asked, do you have any specific thoughts or questions in general? They just said a bit of both. My specific question is, how much investment can you consider emotionally, mentally, and financially when thinking about a long-term, long distance relationship? And then it's going to be dependent on the relationship and your own feelings, but just my surrounding thoughts on the concept of long distance. Okay. So I have been in one long distance relationship. I don't regret the experience, but I also would not seek that kind of experience again because that was pre-pandemic and it was much easier to travel back then. And I think, now it's becoming easier to travel now, I guess, but it is really expensive to travel. And I think that love, I don't know, I just think there's this idealized version of romantic love and you have one person that you have to be with and a connection with this person means that you have to pursue it and then you have to make it work against all odds. But life just doesn't really work like that, and you are going to connect with different people at different stages in your life, in different depths. Even the relationships that you have that are maintained over a long period of time, your closeness and the nature of your connection with that person is going to change as well. And I'm very grateful for the friends that I've had over long periods of time, but we haven't been really close the whole time and we haven't been, really distant either. But it's just things are always shifting and changing, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we embrace it or not. And I think that's something to consider when it comes to romantic relationships too. And when you kind of go into things with too much of an idealized view of, this connection is so different and I have to pursue it against all odds, when it doesn't match up with your reality, bit tough. But I think, the thing about life and the thing about the way that we can understand and critique the hard things about life and the really fucked up, unethical, immoral, dark parts of life, it makes it seem like we have to, the presence of those things just makes life inherently bad. But I think it's more about how we manage those things and, sometimes just the not inevitability of them happening, but just the fact that we can't control that it might happen or that we might have to experience it. How do we manage that and then move forward rather than try to eliminate or deny those parts of life and human nature in general? And the thing about long distance relationships for me now, when I was younger, I thought that, I would enjoy having a boyfriend part-time and we just see each other when we see each other. And then I don't have to be around him all the time. And then when I actually was in a long distance relationship, I realized that it's if you really love someone, you want to see them on a regular basis, and being apart from them and not having a end goal is really hard. And it takes more effort than just not having a partner, or just having someone that's like you can actually see. I'm not saying that, nobody should do long distance, and that anyone that's in a long distance relationship, that it's not valid or it's like whatever, because different things work for different people. And I think that the long distance relationships that tend to last are the ones where they've known each other for a long time in person before, or they have an established in-person connection, and there is an equal level of commitment on both ends to see the relationship through or to make it work. But that's probably going to be rare in most instances. Like I have a friend whose partner went to war basically, and they maintained their relationship, and now they're like engaged and they have a house and they have a dog, and it's so cute, and I'm so happy for them. But I don't think that's going to be everybody's story when it comes to long distance relationships. And I think that insisting that it is that, when that's not like the reality that you're being faced with, like your partner is not able to commit to you over that distance or over that period of time, you're not able to do it, then that's okay. I think it's being able to become aware of like, how can you get your needs met? How can you feel fulfilled and supported in a way that is healthy for you, okay? Not just the way that you want, but in a way that is healthy and sustainable for you. And not everybody that you have a connection with or that you're attracted to is going to be able to do that, okay? And it's easy to assume or write a story around it and hope that that's the case, but you really need to like see reality through a lot of the times. And long distance is tough. I think if you have a lot of things going on in your own life, your partner has a lot of things going on too, it's just hard. And I think it makes it very difficult to be present in your own life. And I think post-pandemic for me, that is something that's really important to me, because I realized that, it became very clear to me over that time that online stuff, the internet, is a tool, okay? It cannot be a crutch. You cannot be dependent on online communities for a sense of fulfillment in your real life. You need to find a balance between the two. And I consider myself very lucky and grateful for like the little online communities that I'm a part of, and then also the in real life communities I'm a part of that have no connection to what I do online. I'm lucky that I have both, and I've try my best to find a balance that works for me. And I think that's important for everyone to find for themselves too. For some people, not posting online, just appreciating things, and then their real life, that works for them. Other people, maybe it's more time online, less time in real life. Other people, it's all time in real life, no time online. And I think that you need to consider that when it comes to doing a long distance relationship, because you will be relying on technological tools to maintain this connection, maintain contact. And how much time do you want to be spending doing that? For me, I don't want to spend any more time online than I already do. Maintaining a relationship with somebody that I would want to be in real life. Like to me, a romantic relationship should be close, physical, intimate relationship, not like the illusion of emotional intimacy that exists over a long distance with very little physical contact. I don't think that, that's not something that I want. And I understand that, if I was in a situation where I had been in a relationship IRL for a decent amount of time and there was periods where we were apart, that's fine. That's different. But I think that it's easy to think that a long distance relationship is like some kind of solution, or like a way to avoid the pain that you might face being in a physical, like same city relationship, if that makes sense. And different things work for different people, okay? So, and something might work for you at one stage in your life, and then it doesn't work for you later on. And I think the hardest thing is reconciling with that and being able to be honest with yourself and the people that you're involved with when things change, because I think it's really difficult for humans in general to embrace change. Different people have a different degree and like elasticity when it comes to this, but I think training that muscle is really important if you want to be adaptable and be able to pivot and shift and, evolve in a way that is in accordance with like the direction that life is guiding you in. Because whenever you're really resistant to something, that is when you start suffering the most. So I think for long distance relationships, I've heard so many stories about people who get involved with someone online to begin with, and it drags out longer than it needs to. In my opinion, if you are interested in someone and you're like chit-chatting and flirting online and you have an opportunity to see each other in person, you should take that opportunity as soon as possible. Like, don't let a relationship rely too much on technology to facilitate it. If you could be seeing each other in person, so many people have gotten into this like online emotional situationship. Not slay, in my opinion, because the thing that differentiates a romantic relationship from just a regular friendship is like the sexual exclusivity that you have, to whatever degree that might be. This is just a generalization. That's the difference. You don't hook up with your friends, you hook up with the person that you're in a romantic relationship with. And I think that when people are in like a kind of romantically tinged connection with someone without that physical proximity, it just makes it really difficult. I'm not saying that there are people that can do it and it might work for them, but generally speaking, I would not seek out that type of experience, or I would avoid that type of experience if I was looking for like a wholesome and fulfilling connection. Like, at the end of the day, you're a human being. We were designed to live in communities and in physical proximity with each other. And when it comes to your romantic partner, I think for most people, whether you are honest with yourself about it or not, you want your intimate romantic relationships to exist in your like physical proximity in your real life, and not have them like ambiently exist and affect your emotions and your mindset in a way that doesn't actually meet the needs that you want to have met, right? Because it's easy in theory to say, oh, they're away and then I can focus on my own stuff and I can just compartmentalize like my relationship in this part of my brain and my work and my real life in this part of my brain. But it takes so much effort to do that. And like, why would you want to put yourself through that if you didn't have to? And it's tough when you are attracted to someone, when you have a connection with someone, when you would want to be with them, but your circumstances don't allow it. But I think being able to honor yourself and what you really want and what you need is important in that situation, and what is going to work best for both of you. Like, love is not insisting that what you want with another person work. It's about insisting that the two of you are allowed to be authentic in who you are and what you want and the journey that you're going on, even if it's not compatible with each other. Like, that's why people say, like, if you love someone, you can let them go, because you recognize that their path deviates from yours. And that is one of the hardest things that you can do. Or loving yourself is being able to honor yourself and the direction that your life is going in without like prioritizing someone else over you to your own detriment. I think the only time when you would do that is with your child. Other people, you don't necessarily owe that to. You can find a compromise or a middle ground. You can communicate that with each other. You don't want to put yourself in a position where everybody else's needs come above yours. You want to find someone that you can mutually support. And that's hard to do, right? So it's easy to get caught up in the idea of, oh, we could be together from this long distance and then but why? It's just not worth it, in my opinion. The trouble that you go through most of the time, not worth the outcome. Exceptions exist, but people that are living those exceptions aren't asking me these questions. You know what I mean? Because it's obvious to them what they want. It's obvious to their partner, they're clear with each other, and they're doing what they need to do. Their long distance relationship is working. They're not asking me whether long distance relationships work or not. So, you know what I mean? Especially when you're young, it's such a huge investment to be doing a long distance relationship. You could be spending that time and money on other things. If you've got money to blow, by all means. Yeah, it's worth it for the experience. Sometimes you got to get it out of your system, but I wouldn't go out of my way for that. I personally am not looking for that type of experience right now. If I'm going to be in a relationship, I want it to be like a real one. I want it to be like something that I'm fully committed to. And I don't want to like add problems to my life. You're adding problems to your life and you're trying to figure out when you're going to see your partner, if you can afford it, if the timing works out. I'm not willing to compromise my schedule for someone else right now. Maybe in a different stage of my life I was or I will be, but I'm not right now. So that's kind of like my general thoughts. But I do think that sometimes when you're like pursuing the idea of a long distance relationship, that is a form of avoidance. You know, you don't really want to make yourself vulnerable enough to commit to someone in person and then have that not work out. And you think that the distance means that you can kind of half-ass it and then you won't be as cut up. But I don't think that many people can operate in that way. You know, like you kind of have to really do things with your whole heart so that you can actually get over them easier. Because I think even for me, when I've been in like casual things, I've committed myself to the degree in which I'm willing to commit myself to this situation. And when it doesn't work out, I don't feel like I could have done more or I should have done this, because I know that I did my best and I don't regret it. And then I can accept much more easily, like, okay, it's not compatible with this person, or we just aren't compatible. I did everything that I could. If you don't respect it, if you don't appreciate it as much as it hurts me, that's not my fault. You know, like you got to find people that are compatible with where you're at. So yeah, I do think that pursuing long distance as a concept can be kind of avoidant. Some people it can totally work for, which I respect, but again, they would just be doing it. They wouldn't be asking me whether it's like viable or not, because it is viable. But when you're asking this question, it's like, yeah, I think especially when it comes to casual relationships, the concept of long distance relationships, the romanticization of those things is like, I think, a symptom of us thinking that we can avoid suffering or we can avoid heartbreak, but you just can't. You know, you catch feelings, you become emotionally invested in something, it's going to hurt regardless. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person because you're a human being. If it didn't hurt, that means that you didn't care, you know, and you want to care about what you're doing, because what's the point of being alive if you're just fucking around for no reason? You need to find ways to be fulfilled and to find ways to contribute positively to other people's lives. And you would hope that that is happening in your intimate romantic relationships, because that is like as close as you can really get, you know? So yeah, I think that long distance can work in specific situations. I'm not against them entirely, but I would not seek that out because it adds more problems than it provides solutions, you know? Like, if you just want to get laid, you can get laid locally. If you just want company, you can get company locally. You don't need to outsource in that way. I think it's not like the best course of action. If you are in a serious relationship and you get to a point where, you know, you might have to be physically apart for however long or for whatever reason, but you're both committed to being together through that, then you do need to like find ways to connect with each other and stay committed. And that's a mutual thing, and your ability to do that, their ability to do that, and whether or not that is compatible, you just have to find a way to navigate. And I don't know how to tell you how to do that, you know, because when I think about the long distance relationship that I was in, it's not that I regret it, but I know that I was setting aside things that I could have been focusing on in my real life to facilitate that connection and facilitate that relationship in a way that was kind of detrimental to me. And, you know, I still think about what I could have done if I didn't do that, you know, because you do have to think about how much time and energy you're putting into your personal life, your career, and your romantic relationships. And at different stages of your life, as much as, you know, as women, we're made to think that we can do it all and we have to do it all. You don't have to, you know, you can just choose to focus on your career without focusing on romance and deciding that you don't want to make those sacrifices, because it's much easier for men in general to just enjoy the benefits and not really think about what they're contributing. I think for women, there's definitely more of an expectation that you are the person that's going to make the sacrifices to make the relationship work or to facilitate the connection. And if you don't want to do that because you've got better things to do, then that's fine. You know, you're not a bad person for doing that. Expectations, life, and everyone's, you know, the things that you're able to do now have changed a lot. And when you're authentic to yourself and what you want and you're intentional, then you will be able to experience the things you want to experience in due course. When you try to force things, when you make sacrifices for yourself in a way that's detrimental to you, that you think is going to, like, someone's going to give you a prize for, that prize will never come. Okay, that's the thing. You know, there is no prize at the end of your life where people are like, wow, she made so many sacrifices for other people to her own detriment and now she's going to get paid back. Nobody cares. They're going to take what you're willing to give, and if you're giving beyond what is sustainable and healthy for you, that's on you to kind of like come to terms with at some point. No one else is going to come to terms with that for you, okay? So I think that those are some things I would think about when it comes to long distance relationships. Yeah, it's hard for me to give you any like in-depth, like lots of thoughts on long distance because I honestly don't have that many. Even though I've been in one, I'm just like, you know, it is what it was. Wouldn't go out of my way to do it again. If I was in a committed relationship and we had to spend time apart for whatever reason and we were committed to making it work and the relationship evolving as it needed to, and like, yeah, that kind of commitment, it's a case-by-case basis, you know? So yeah, it's important that you think about what it is you want at any stage of your life and what degree of sacrifice or compromise you're willing to make for what outcome. Only you can decide that. I can't really figure that out for you, but I can encourage you to make that time for yourself. And when I've made that time for myself in the recent past, I don't want to do that shit. I'm not compromising anything right now for a long distance relationship. And I have been, you know, in situations where that could be a possibility. Don't want to, happy with my decision not to pursue it. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts on long distance relationships are, what your thoughts on my thoughts are. If you're in a successful long distance relationship or if it worked for you, please share in the comments. If you have any, you know, thoughts yourself, experiences, positive or negative, leave a comment. And thank you for thank you for listening. Drink lots of water. Tell your friends and family that you love them. Stay hot and having fun. I love you. Speak soon.